Okay, we have a lot of speakers. If anybody decides not to, I'd be thrilled. So we're starting with Donald Kirk, followed by Terry Raposa, followed by Steve Davidson. And if you could wait over there by that exit route sign so that we can expeditiously move along, that'd be great. 3 minutes.
As some of you know, in the past, I have been a homeless advocate in this town, and while I support the homeless, I really don't think the city money should be used for that. I do support more police and firefighters, though. But I want to remind the people that at one time the voters approved a tourism tax here. Some of it was for the tourism board, and some of it was for the civic auditorium. I believe a lot of that money right now is going to the general fund, even though it was designated for tourism. As well, we're not going to get Costco out at Oasis Road. They're talking about going down to Anderson. In my opinion, the city should be talking to them about South Bonneview, because years ago the city designated that as the next box store area. And the overpass is suitable. The on and off ramps are suitable. The highway is now 2 lanes in each direction. Now make a great location for Costco. If Costco goes to Anderson, we lose all that sales tax from Costco as well. If a Costco builds in the city, we'll have extra revenue on the property tax it's going to bring in, because the property value is going to be increased. I hope it becomes a matter, if approved, that the money will actually be used for what we heard about here today, instead of the city council they saying, well, we're going to do this with it, we're going to do this with it instead. The voters should be aware of this as well. The fact that the city has done this before, had a vote done, and the money used for something else. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Kirk. Mr. Raposa, then Mr. Davidson, then Mike Thomas.
In considering all this, as of March the 22nd, 2016, in a move much anticipated and feared by financial analysis, city managers, council members, government employees, CalPERS has now cashed in their contractual get-out-of-jail-free card. CalPERS has now announced that it's removing its unfunded liabilities debt burden from the fund's risk pooling structure and handing the obligation off to local municipalities to place in their budgetary red columns. Did you know that? Because Brian Daly did, and we had a 40-minute conversation. Local cities and counties now must find a way to budget and pay for the funding gap between retirees and current employees. We were in Loyalton doing a town hall, and we were doing this on April the 22nd. April the 21st, the Mountain Messenger, the newspaper for Sierra County, states, Loyalton Mayor, we're broke, we're flat broke. One thing is certain, CalPERS has sent the city a bill for $1.6 million. Now they've called on it. Although the city contests this figure, Mayor Maddox explained the only a miracle keeps PERS from winning such cases. It seems PERS is very good at bookkeeping. The city is now paying PERS $500 a month. I wonder where our $11 million is going to go. Disregarding the 7.5% interest that they are now taking on Loyalton as of the 21st of April, CalPERS will be collecting this money for 273 years. They've just broken Loyalton. This is new news. Our assemblyman just found out about it. I talked to him on the radio. What's happened now is CalPERS calling. Now, Governor Brown's response? San Jose Mercury. Jerry Brown definitely puts it. The board of CalPERS adopted an irresponsible plan that will only keep the system dependent on unrealistic investment returns. This approach will expose the fund to unacceptable levels of risk in the coming years. California is now going to be broke, and we have till about July or August. This isn't my words, I'm just the messenger on this. All this is documented. Loyalton has had this money called on them. How much longer before they call the money on us? We probably owe $500 million. So really and truly, when you start asking people for taxes and you start being in a position to where you're saying, we need to go ahead and spend more money, how can we possibly do that? And no one here in this room, including Larry Lease, wasn't even aware of this. So really and truly, we need to start figuring out what's going on here. Thank you.
Honorable City Council members, my name is Steve Davidson. I'm a retired captain with the Reading Police Department. I'm going to read my statement, so I'll make sure to stay under the 3 minutes. Unfortunately, Reading has gone from an outstanding place to live and work to a place where people are fed up with crime and want to move away. Transient camps, rampant vagrancy and panhandling, trespassing, vandalism and theft are now the new norm in Reading. Reading has been here before. In 1994, these were just a few of the things we dealt with. Gangs, drive-by shootings, parolees, sex offenders, racial unrest, hate crimes, dangerous neighborhoods, graffiti, transient camps. The crime rate was going up 15% a year, and we are being described as another Los Angeles. The Reading Police Department, with the assistance of a cross-section of the community and other government agencies, completely turned this city around. Most of the success was a result of having a proactive police department with fluid teams of officers who could be strategic in everything they did. We would target areas, neighborhoods, business districts, you name it, and we would completely change the environment and enhance the quality of life. The turnaround could not possibly have happened with the staffing that the Reading Police Department has today. We had adequate officers to be strategic, and we had enough jail space to hold people accountable. The number one responsibility of government is to keep the people safe. The citizens of Reading today do not feel safe. Before we can assist that small percentage of the population that is causing a lot of the disruption in our community, we are going to have to become a safe and healthy community in whole. We are a long ways from that. So let's give the voters the opportunity to give our local criminal justice system the resources they need to turn this city around and make it a great one again. Thank you.
Thank you. After Mr. Thomas, we have Peter Scales, followed by Matt Morgan. If you could line up over there, please. And thank you, Officer Davidson, for your years of service. And Mr. Thomas, ditto back at you, and still continuing.
Can I sneak in a thank you to Chief Blankenship for that, too?
Chief Blankenship is in front. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Mayor MacArthur and council members. I'm Mike Thomas. I'm a retired sergeant from the Reading Police Department. I have lived and worked in Reading since 1987 when I joined the Reading Police Department. My wife, my children, and my grandchildren live here. I love this city, and I want to see that its future becomes secure. Now, the Matrix study has both good and bad. On the positive side, it really helps make the point that the real changes we need will cost something. It generated an unprecedented series of real discussions between public safety stakeholders in our community. On the negative side, though, it is actually a poorly researched document, in my opinion, often based on factual errors and ignoring other critical facts. It also seems to want to be a blueprint for addressing homelessness more than public safety. I'm part of the Homelessness Coalition, which has been formed to design a community-wide strategic plan to address homelessness here. I'm confident it will be a better plan than the one Matrix has proposed, as it will be locally driven. The issue of homelessness and public safety overlap, but they are not the same. This measure, though, is about public safety. The project I've been working on for the city has given me the task of working with the vast majority of chronically unsheltered homeless. Most are resistant to many of the resources offered to them. Many are involved in illegal activities and are frequently cited and arrested by RPD officers. But nothing happens after that. If the criminal justice system functioned more as it should, especially in county government, The same system could be used as leverage to help move people out of homeless and hopeless situations. But our public safety problems are bigger than just the homeless people who commit crime. There's minimal accountability for anyone arrested for property crime. Patrol watches run at minimum staffing. Response times are unacceptably long. Good cases in the investigations division go uninvestigated, all because of too few patrol officers, investigators, and CSOs. The Reading Police Department has a history of excellence, of getting things done, of being proactive, of working with the community, as Captain Davison pointed out. Some people who are new to Reading, especially in the media, don't know our history. If RPD, the Sheriff's Office, Correctional Division, County Mental Health, and a sobering center are given the tools this measure will provide, we can begin to make Reading the safe city it deserves to be. If we don't invest in public safety, we're left with the status quo. The people of the city deserve an opportunity to vote on this measure. Thank you.
Thank you. Peter Scales, Matt Morgan, Rocky Slaughter.
Good afternoon. Don't mean to be offensive to anybody. Gary, what's the unfunded liability of this city?
It's over $300 million.
$300 million. Just recently, you guys gave all these guys and their cronies, no offense meant personally, truly. This is business to me. I'm from the commercial world. You gave these guys an increase in salaries. Larry Lees gave all the county guys increase in salaries. And now you're here asking for us another 0.5% increase with a $300 million liability. You know, this is one of the most beautiful places I've been, certainly in California. It should be a jewel up here. I am blaming you people and Larry Lees and the Board of Supervisors for introducing marijuana into this county. We had no problems with all this homeless crap.
Mr. Scales, we're right here. You don't have to shout at us.
If you don't like it, leave. You introduced this into this county, the marijuana, and guess what? Now we have a heroin addict. Christine, if you think you can deal with heroin people, you have a 1 to 2% chance of getting people away from heroin. You know, you're a good-hearted lady and all that, but you don't live in the real world. As regards the people that are going to support this, 2 cops just got up. Love cops. I got a son of cop. Okay? They're already living off the taxpayer, right? They're retired, good, handsome pension. I got on Google before I came here. You guys, nothing personal, okay? And you guys are among the highest paid public servants in the state of California. There are not many cities, 2 of them I remember, Redwood City and that beach down there, Newport Beach down there, have higher government workers. You cost us residents more money than most people in most towns in the cities of California. You're talking about this homeless bloody crap. You know, hopefully Trump will take care of it today. Hopefully we'll turn God, I hope when I get home, turn on that TV. Trump's a guy. You know what? And you know what, as regards 10-year contrast, Gary, you know, if Hillary Clinton gets in, this country won't last 10 years without major overhaul. But I'm sick and tired of this build it, they will come crap. All you want to do is save all the most useless people in this town and this county, and you'll have everyone coming from all the other counties so that you can take care of them, employ more government people, you know, that don't have a clue what's going on in the real world. You know, I'm so pissed off, and there's a lot of other people that feel this way. You guys are, what's the word today? The establishment. Anyway, build it, they will come. If that's what you want, good riddance.
So, Mr. Morgan, maybe you can talk in normal tones. I'd really appreciate it. I don't like being yelled at.
I promise I'll be easier on you. Well, good afternoon. Matt Morgan. I'm a local resident, been here for a little over 35 years now, born and raised. This is a place I call home. And, you know, when I was growing up, it was pretty nice growing up here. I really enjoyed my time, and it hasn't always been like this. I truly believe we're in a slump right now, and with the right tools, resources, we can get out of this slump. It's just a hiccup here. And, I have a beautiful little daughter. I want her to grow up with the same level of security and safety that I had when I was growing up. And I think we can do that. I think we can pull it off. I also come this afternoon as a local business owner. Our office donates several hundred hours each year through community projects, and through those projects, I've spent a lot of time with Chief Paletti, Ed Rollman with the Merchants Crime Watch, and many of you, and I know firsthand a lot of the challenges we face, and I also know what our needs are. I'm very impressed with what the implementation team put together. I think it's a solid plan. There's room for things better, but it's good. It's really good. I think it'll pull us out of our slump. And, we're already paying for this crime tax in the form of vandalism and fencing and surveillance. I'm already paying for it, so I'd rather just pay for it through a little tax and fix this. So I'm begging you to take the first step in restoring the safety of my daughter, my family, and my local business by moving forward this today.
Thank you, Mr. Morgan. After Mr. Slaughter, we'll have Jerome Venus, followed by Ed Rollman.
I'll just flip that over at one point. Okay.
Good afternoon, Council. My name is Rocky Slaughter, and I'm here today representing two groups. First and foremost, I am a 28-year-old business person who moved back to the community to get involved to help our region reach its potential as a great place to live. I am here because I want to see more of my peers decide to do the same. However, over the past 5 years, a number of my friends and colleagues have expressed they are considering a move back to Reading, but are concerned by the increasing property crime in the area, the appearance of a growing transient and prison realignment population, and an overall feeling of a lack of neighborhood safety. I feel that their concerns are valid. I've worked with many organizations over the last 3 years to do my best to gain a holistic perspective on these issues, and have observed that public safety is not just about more officers in jail space. The jail is not a mental health or cost-effective detox facility, and we need the cities of Reading, Anderson, and Shasta Lake working with Shasta County in an openly collaborative spirit to leverage our currently stagnant property and sales tax base to provide the best possible public services in the most efficient way. I have personally dealt with property thefts, smashed car windows, a transient defecating on an exterior wall of my house, and have gone so far as to dive into multiple Reading area dumpsters to retrieve a backpack filled with work and school items that was stolen from one of my friends. If our community is to move forward, we need safe streets, and we need them now. It's simple. We need a public safety sales tax in order for our community to feel safe and be immediately safer starting January 1st of 2017. I recognize that no policy is perfect, and there will be discussions on both sides of what is decided upon today. Some will say the council didn't go far enough. Others will say that the council overstepped its bounds. But this is why I'm here representing another group today. I want the City Council and Reading to feel comfortable knowing that Revive Reading, a political action committee, will be endorsing and supporting what the City Council decides to do in a few short moments. With 5,600 supporters, we cannot let the small details get in the way of widespread community change on this issue. We cannot forsake a better, stronger city for action on this issue, and while we recognize that many actors were working behind the scenes to get us to this moment, we need to capitalize on the momentum and move forward. We as a community must unite in one single voice on this issue, and we must understand that it's not about paying more for government services. It is a collective recognition that we must join hands with law enforcement, county caseworkers, the courts, state officials, and the local area nonprofits to deliver a mandate and make a statement that we as Readingites strive to have the safest streets in California when they float under the Cypress Street Bridge, that they are visiting one of the most beautiful cities in the state. I look forward to taking a stand along with hundreds of volunteers.
Slaughter. Is Jerome Venus here?
Thank you. Felt like I was in the Mojave Desert.
Then Ed Rollman.
Venus, I'm the candidate for District 2 Supervisor. Two thoughts came to my mind. I was sitting here listening to people, and one was the term, if ignorance is bliss, and I think Americans are approaching nirvana. The other one is I don't know how many people here would mow over a dandelion in their yard and think that would take care of the problem. And I think that's what shuffling it off and putting up silly homes or some apartments or maybe some great... we need smart people. We need forward-thinking people. We need creative thinking. Ben Franklin said it best, I think, that he who would give up liberty for his safety deserves neither liberty nor safety. If I'm to have anything, you can keep your safety. I'll take my liberty. Let's help people. To try to get a job with one of my front teeth missing and 4 of my front teeth missing. I have a master's degree in counseling psychology. It's called the Hope Van, and they touched me with people in the dental field, and after 4.5 years, I finally got my... You have no concept of what safety means to people. Safety is a locked door. Safety is my ability to make sure my stuff is safe. The Hope Van gave me dignity. I'm here today running for an office that I never thought I would. Am I upset about this quarter-interest thing? Sure. Why? Because some gentleman sat here and said $64,000 wasn't very much. I am $300 behind on my house tax. $64,000 is not that much? Okay. Sometimes you people have no concept of what reality is. I see people all the time. My clients were that way. I developed a clientele that would call their probation officers and their parole officers and tell them they offended. No, jail is not the answer. Why? It wasn't the answer for me. I went to jail to go to sleep and eat. That's what I use jail for, and to get educated. That's what I use jail for. Jail does nothing. Incarceration does nothing. And don't forget, they're going to get out. It doesn't matter how many times you put them in. If they want to, they will get out. And we will have to deal with them again. So like Schroeder said, let's deal with the problem while it's young and we can deal with it. Let's do it when it's small and it doesn't become a great problem like it is now. Because it's going to be here. And putting people in jail and law enforcement isn't working. It hasn't worked for decades. Believe me, it hasn't worked for decades and it won't work in the future. Education, treatment, making people safe. That will work.
Thank you, sir.
Very much.
Mr. Rollman, then Mr. Schroeder, and
those of you that know me know 3 minutes is not enough, so I actually did condense it. Madam Mayor, councilors, fellow citizens, my name is Ed Rollman. I'm a lifelong resident of Redding, California. I'm a husband, I'm a business owner, I'm a father and a grandfather, and that's really the reason why I'm standing here today. It's not going to happen for a few months. What I am here to do is just have the first question, and I ask a lot of people this question when they come to me and say, is crime getting better in Redding? I think the first question you got to ask is, are you happy with the present status quo regarding crime and the safety-related issues in our community? We all know they're there. They're not hidden. We can call them whatever we want to call them, but there's criminal activity in our community that we need to deal with. The second question you need to ask yourself is, would you like to see improvements made in staffing, response time, adequate facilities for mental health, for drug addiction, for incarceration, and last but not least, peace of mind. I grew up here, and over the last 4 years, I've seen the crime rate escalate 10 times what it was before. I want to leave you with two thoughts. We have one of the highest crime rates in California. You can go anywhere and read that statistic. And we have the lowest sales tax in California. I think it's time to let the community decide. I want to thank everybody, especially together we will make a difference. Thanks.
thank you, Schroeder. We have Dale Ball, followed by Patrick Hensley.
Thanks for everybody showing up today. I was here kind of in the beginning of this big movement and got help from most of the people who are in this room, including Ed and Brent and Francie, and so many people participated in our cleanup effort on the west side. With Mike Dahl helping out, and Brent during his campaign came out, and it just became kind of a movement, and then ended up while we were trying to clean up my neighborhood, I ended up volunteering, and Chief Paletti, I'm a RPD volunteer, and ended up taking over when Mike Leonard retired. I was helping with Neighborhood Watch and coordinating through the city, and I spoke to thousands of people through the neighborhood groups, and went out and spoke to different neighborhoods throughout the. It's not my calling in life, I don't think. I'm a guitar builder by trade. I like not being in the news, that happened, but the overwhelming thing when we went out to these communities, including Kristen Schrader's, I remember sitting in a living room in her neighborhood and talking, the overwhelming consensus was people want an officer to show up when you call 911, and they want quick response times if somebody's calling because their father's having a heart attack. People want what I was doing, and that was the overwhelming feeling I had, is this needs to be a paid position. You know, my business suffered as a result of my volunteering, which is why I went back to doing it. And it wasn't just that my position as a volunteer needed to be paid for what I was doing, the amount of time. The number of CSOs that we're talking about adding in this plan makes me feel, for the thousands of people that I've talked to, makes me feel like finally you guys have heard what we said. You guys have done a great job, Kurt, to have, so many conversations that we've had about this stuff. The code enforcement, also the CSO, talking about a code enforcement CSO would be huge. I mean, so many of the issues that we had with apartment complexes were drug-related, dangerous people that we personally came in contact with. That's music to our ears. So all we're asking is please consider letting the people decide, put it on the ballot, and let us vote for it. Thank you.
Thanks for all your hours of volunteer work, Mr. Schroeder. Appreciate it very much.
And we're glad your day job has got you back.
Mr. Ball, then Mr. Hensley, or Hinsley. You can tell me how it is.
Thank you, council members, city staff. Personally, I don't have a problem paying my fair share to put more officers on the streets and more jail beds. I think the town is, we're fed up. The crime, the rampant panhandling, everything else. But every cent needs to be used on this process, and it needs to be transparent. It needs to be honest. Trust is probably the biggest thing I hear talking in the community, talking to the business owners. The problem the taxpayers have in this town is with the council and staffs being honest about this. I mean, there is people complaining about raises, but honestly, if you look at the amount of money raises were given out, that's nowhere near this $11 million mark. We're pretty far off. We need big money to fix a big problem. So as long as we can get some kind of checks and balance system in, that this money's not used for pet projects, it's not used for the unfunded pensions, let the voters decide. Put this out there and let the voters decide. But be honest, this last time, we kind of didn't get it. And I think that's why Measure F failed. Thank you for your time.
After Mr. Hensley, we have Ron Largent and then Bruce Anderson.
Thank you, Mayor MacArthur, and you got it right, Mr. Hensley, or Patrick Hensley here. And thank you, other members of the council. I think Mr. Ball had it right, that we need to be honest here with what this is, and this is a special tax. This is not a general tax. And the idea that this will not be watered down, as Mr. Weaver earlier said, in terms of agreeing with the implementation team, the only way that you can ensure that this will not be watered down is if you put a special tax on the ballot. Because while each of you, I'm sure, would like to be on the city council for the next decade, I sincerely doubt that one or more of you won't at some point retire or be replaced. And there is no guarantee with this advisory measure for public safety. There's no guarantee that you won't dilute the programs completely. And I think that everyone here who came at 2 in the afternoon for a special meeting, again, on a work day, and it seems to have this, it's a testament to the importance that if we raise the sales tax, and frankly, if this is passed as a general tax, we do not know what it will be used for. And with that being said, I would like to hear from Mr. DeWalt, perhaps Mr. Idiani, as to whether you've done any research as to how now, on the day where we could have addressed this in a general meeting, and I understand your explanation earlier, you have an opinion on whether a court may perceive this as a special tax, given the circumstances around its passing.
Thank you for your time.
If you could comment. Thank you.
Ron Largent, Bruce Anderson, Rich Bates.
Good afternoon, council and staff. My name is Ron Largent. I'm a local realtor and business owner. I'm here because this was a very special place for our family to grow up, of which there are 2 children of our 4 still here. On Saturday morning, I have a radio show, and some of you have been good enough to be guests on that show. And I start my broadcast by saying I'm very high on Reading and Shasta County. And if you are not interested in being part of making a positive change in our community, I suggest you move and I'll help you sell your house. And I think there is a truth to that, in that you folks, the 5 of you that are elected here, are here to make a positive impact on our community, and we appreciate it. We may not always agree with you, but the fact is you are here to make things better. I've been fortunate to be part of a number of organizations in town, churches, civic groups, clubs, and cultural activities. And in talking with people over the last few years, and mainly, that is the #1 concern, public safety. And I would like to encourage you, as much as I can possibly do, to put this on the ballot, and I think you will find that that is in fact what's going to happen, that the people are going to say, yes, it's a small price to pay for increased public safety to make this the finest community in the state of California. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Largent. Is Bruce Anderson not here? Rich Bates?
And fellow travelers. A lot to say, don't know where to start, so I'm going to start with something that Mr. Weaver said, and that kind of refers back to what something Chief Gray said about, Mr. Weaver said something that we've never been here before. Well, actually we have, Mr. Weaver. As Chief Gray said, in 86 there was a task force report, in 91 there was a task force report, and then in 2002 there was an emergency services master planning committee put together by past city manager trying to fund the unfunded back in 2002. We came up with about $30 million of cost, a recommendation that was sent to the city council. It was never enacted. Now to the tax. Every time today somebody has said something about putting it on the ballot, everybody's laughed and cheered and clapped and or supporting it, and I agree. I think the citizens should have a right to vote on a tax. The citizens of the state, we're already taxed way too much. The lion's share of the taxes collected in the state go to social services and to prisons. Every kind of program's been tried and nothing seems to help. You have to treat the people. But anyway, let me get back to this. Reading has billed itself as the hub of the North State, the hub of Shasta County. I'm guessing that probably 90-95% of the residents of Shasta County shop and will pay this tax. But only 50% of the residents of the county are going to get a chance to vote on it. To me, it doesn't seem fair. Now, I may not be exact, but at least 50% of the residents live in the city already. So only half the county residents that are going to be affected by this tax get to vote on it. I don't think that's right. I support law enforcement 110%. I'm a retired firefighter. I worked here for 28 years. I know what it's like to be on a two-person engine company, waiting for the next engine to show up to give you a hand. I support all the recommendations. But I think this has to be a county-wide vote for a county-wide sales tax. Thank you.
Tom Hildebrand, followed by Jessica Lugo.
Yeah, Tom Hildebrand, just an average guy, saying enough's enough. I feel, I think the average guy like me would have spent whatever it is, comparable, what we want, safety. It should be for the cops, firemen, and the other ones that was here. But as far as going into a general fund, I don't think that's a bad idea. I think we just sold, we traded one building to build a cops or build a police station over here. Then when we sell the other one, it's going to help the debt on the other one. Mr. Weaver says, oh no. And so that means you guys can change your mind about anything where the money goes. Our paper's getting better. I looked in the paper and City Gardener, and it's $24 an hour. That was before the last raise you guys gave them. For the city, pretty good racket. You go out and talk to any landscape people, they don't pay their people $25 an hour. There's no tack-ons, retirement, health and wealth, or actually if there's no work, they don't get paid. But our city can pay. Again, I'm not kicking a small guy. I just think if the janitor or if the gardener gets $24 an hour, what do all these other people get? And then there's sort of becoming an injustice. And all we ask for is to take care of safety. It has been presented to you guys. We want a tax for those specific things. There should be a tax for specific things. And I didn't realize that the county can't vote on it. It was sort of, I went to the county meeting this morning, it was sort of smoothed over about, most of the county people got to be spending their money in there, so, well, I thought the county would be also voting on it, the county people. And again, I think you guys have an opportunity to help the little guys. I mean, is it greed or what? I mean, how about the kids, the baby kids that are out here or not even here? And the average guy's now is working, He can't leave his job, come in here. And I don't know if you guys, where your head's coming from, or you've been have a chip put in or something, but Mr. Kander, he'll tell you, this is a special tax, and I don't know, what do you got to? Take your kids over to the library, see what happens.
Jessica Lugo.
I, too, am really short. My name's Jessica Lugo. I'm a mother of two boys. I'm a taxpayer, public servant, and I'm the president of West Reading Little League, which I came all this way, so I thought I might as well say that someone is here on behalf of the kids. But I don't think the sales tax initiative is the platform to start splintering off in special interest groups. I think it's smart to keep it focused on public safety. We do need baseball fields really, really bad, but a lot of that can be handled with staff and grant funding opportunities and just collaborating with all the other groups that we have here in the city, McConnell Foundation, Sierra Pacific. You have a whole bunch of volunteers that are in the city that would love to build new fields. It just takes more collaboration from the city's part and the nonprofits part as well. And on the, I heard a lot tonight also about jobs. There needs to be something developed for jobs. There's jobs out there. I also own a construction company. We can't hire enough guys. But unfortunately, you have to be off drugs, and you have to show up every day, and you have to work hard. And so there are jobs out there. You can talk to any contractor in this community. They are hiring. And I don't buy the argument anymore that there's no jobs. There's jobs out there. And last but not least, I totally support this. I think put it on the ballot. Let's vote on it. We've wasted a lot of time. With this panel, you guys on public safety, and it doesn't get diverted to any other funds. I mean, I think you guys will figure that out. Thank you.